Welcome back to AgriTalk from Palm Springs, California, the Ag Retailers Association Conference. And joining us now is Scott Ramsdell, the current chairman of the Ag Retailers with Ramsdell F&M Ltd. out of South Dakota. Scott, good to talk with you. It's been an interesting year and in many ways a good year for agriculture. I think back to a year ago when we were at this meeting and we were looking ahead to wondering what 2010 would be like. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and there always are questions and concerns, but looking back now overall, for not everyone in agriculture, we know the livestock industry certainly had some tough times, but overall it seems like it was a pretty good year.
Oh, it certainly was. I agree with you on the last year at this time we're thinking what's going to come down the road for the future in the commodity prices as well as our products. And went into spring thinking, oh goodness, is that corn price going to get down under $3 in our local elevators? And the farmers were very optimistic. They put the crops in as they normally do. That's one thing about the farmers, very optimistic. Put them in and the commodities turned around and sales were strong, and the same for the farmers. They've had a very successful year.
We know in some places the corn yield wasn't what they had hoped or maybe quite as high as the year before, but still a good year, and certainly a lot of good bean yields around the country and much easier harvest this past year. So there were a lot of different factors going into that. What are some of the issues, though, bigger picture issues that ag retailers are watching and involved in, certainly working on in Washington, D.C.?
Well, the word now is sustainability. You know, we have been in Washington for many years looking out for the interests of our ag dealers and also for the farmer. But sustainability becomes a real issue anymore. We find that not only do we have to watch the EPA and Congress, but we have other groups out there that think that in agriculture we are doing it wrong and they want to change us. And if they did that, of course, for the consumer, the price of their commodities are going to be up not double or triple. It'd be unbelievable. And also, we'll never produce enough product for them.
You mentioned EPA. Some of the EPA proposals are especially concerning for agriculture in general, for your industry, ag retailers in particular. You just are a little overwhelmed as to trying to find the directions of EPA and where they're going with some of these rules. It is very difficult to find the avenue they're going down. Now, we have a lot of good people in the EPA, but sometimes the directions are very difficult for us to understand where we're going, because we in agriculture, again, and with ARA, are looking to do the best we can for our country and for our stewardship. We are not out there trying to be bad. We want to be very productive and profitable, and of course good for our environment. And it can be difficult. EPA is, in my opinion, has lost a little bit of the continued focus that they had in the prior years. Well, give us an example. People hear us talk about this all the time. For those that aren't farmers or aren't ag retailers, give us an example of an EPA proposal that, if it goes through the way it's proposed, how it could even put out of business someone in the ag retail industry.
Well, I'm going to pick one that deals with labeling. And EPA is convinced that we can go to online labels, which would tell the farmer that he can find out how to the directions off of the internet, and that way they think it can be easy to change it. But the problem with that is that we lose our direction, and we have containers there, and if we have to go back to the web every time to determine the directions, it's going to be very difficult. And we in the industry, we're all disagreeing with them, and they don't seem to understand our position.
You know, there's a fine line here, I guess, between safety and what's best for the environment, and certainly everybody wants that, as you said. But there's also, if you go too far and you put everybody out of business, what have you accomplished then, too? I mean, you threaten our food supply or the affordability even of our food supply.
Yes, they do. Another good example would be what's happened in Florida, where, as you know, a lot of the phosphate mines are down there, and if you've not been down there, it's quite a unique something to see, where they're removing the phosphates, then they're reclaiming the land, and they're reclaiming it in a better manner than it was prior. They're building lakes and recreational areas for the people, so they're doing a good job, and yet the EPA and the environment is against it. They feel that we're being detrimental to our environment.
Ironic that at a time when we keep hearing about food insecurity and the challenges of feeding the world, then there are the challenges being able to even produce the way we know we can produce. Certainly.
Another one that has come out here in the West Coast, of course, is managing dust. Certainly, dust is a part of this that we've grown up in our whole lives. And you go back to the dirty 30s when dust was an issue, and look at what we've done in agriculture since then. We've controlled the dust a lot, whether it be with trees or with our new tillage practices that we have today, and with our new products we put on the ground. It's not the issue it used to be.
Scott, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for the chance.
Scott Ramsdell, Chair of the American Retailers Association.